Introduction to academics and the strategy, the big picture evaluation in the business. A good strategy should be written down. Many students don't. Many people don't. I'm telling you, do it. Why? Because more than 90% of the world is not really successful. More than 90% of the world struggle just to survive, and they struggle to get to their dream of retirement. But then they get to retirement, they get to 65 years old, and they realize, oh, I still can't do my dream. So it's because they haven't used the proper strategy. They haven't written down and done those plans. So what should a good strategy provide? It was explained in this video, and we can go back, we can see this PPT, we can see this video anytime. You can rewind it if you want, but I've already done the screen capture, and it says that there's 4 key questions you must have in your strategy. As we said here, where do we compete? What unique value do we bring? What resources and capabilities do we use? And how do we sustain unique value? Where are we now? This is concerned with the ins and outs of the organization's present, the situation, its market standing. And don't forget, I'm not just talking about a company. I'm not just talking about Walmart or Tesla. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Mr. Jung is an organization. Mr. Ibrahim, you're another organization. And Zarnigar, you are another. All of you guys should think of yourself as a company. Think of yourself about how can you get people to work with you? How can you promote your company? How can you make your company run so that it can continue running and making your children successful or your grandchildren successful? Don't just think about today. Most of the daily activities are covered with garbage. You must understand that and learn to prioritize what should go first and what should go later. What can you say when somebody walks up to you and says, like a teacher, can you do this? Most students say, yes, sure. But Bill Gates didn't, right? He learned to prioritize and develop an idea in his mind called Microsoft, and it took over more of a priority than the classwork. If you just follow what some stranger says blindly, it's going to take longer to get your dreams. So what are some of the things you could do as you, again, do this class project for your dream goal? I've heard several people in class say, I want to later get a master's degree or later get a PhD degree. Well, why later? Why talk about starting a company later? Write it down and start doing it today. Where are we going? This is concerned with the direction in which management believes you or the organization should be headed in terms of growing the business or growing your future, strengthening your future, strengthening your market organization's standing and financial performance in the years ahead. Again, it doesn't always have to be related to financial details. Some people, usually the wealthier you are, the richer you are, the more money you have, the less you care about money. And the more you care about different results like happiness or satisfaction. So how are you going to get there? Write those details down. Those are all part of your strategy. You need to be able to answer all of these questions. The search for sustainable competitive advantage. What is your advantage compared to others? Knowing that the world is online. Korea is one of the highest tech, most plugged in countries in the world. That is a competitive advantage. Korea is also it was the poorest country in the world about 40 years ago. Now it's one of the richest countries in the world. So they have the secret to success, how to go from low level to success. Most countries don't know how to do that as well. So that's good. And we are in East and Southeast Asia. Usually people were talking about why I said Canada it's right next to USA. They usually say North America is the best. That was the biggest. But China has passed United States in their size of the economy and even the size of their money, their budgets in the economy. So we are in that area. That's all moving. The world is moving from North America, from Europe, being focused more and more on East Asia. So that is going to make us more of a competitive advantage. Um, Levels of strategy. There's obviously corporate level strategy, business level strategy, operational level strategy. The first one concerned with the purpose and scope of the company and how to add value to the different business units. The business level strategy is concerned with the way the business seeks to compete with the market. And the operational level is concerned with how different parts of your organization deliver strategy in terms of managing resources, processes, and people. So, how does that relate to us, me? Now, in our class, you all have to do at least 2 different tasks, and you can work with a team. So, you are doing one of the business units. How can you work with somebody else? You should be trying to partner with somebody else in class that can add value to you. Something like that. Um, Strategic planning process. Of course, there's several steps. And again, many people say that there's many different ways to plan. I believe the best way to do it is to have this burned into your memory. Make sure you know everything about this. Planning for the future. Your strategy is how to climb each step. And what does that involve? There's many aspects to that involves. Your goal or your vision is to get these goals at the end, 20-year goals, 10-year goals. But how do you climb? You can just take the straight route. A lot of people, they will, especially in Korea, they will go 4 years to a university, and then after they graduate, they hope there's an elevator that's going to take them from 4 years of not changing anything with their dreams and goals, and then they have an elevator to become some director in a company. That almost never happens. The reality is you should be taking small little steps each day to get higher. For example, find somebody like these people up here who do you know that can connect you with a higher level, like a professor or like a student that studied this and graduated as an alumni working in that company. Contact them. How can you meet them? Who can introduce you to them? So things like that can help you. And of course, skills. Everybody knows the old fashioned, my grandmother says, study hard, work hard, you will be successful. Well, sorry, grandma, that is a lie. I love you, grandma, but it's not true. If that was true, there's millions of people in poor countries that are much smarter than I am and work a hell of a lot harder than I do. Why am I more successful than them? You know, it's not just because you work hard, you study hard, you will be successful. That's not true. There's a lot more to it. You need to know your environment. So be aware of that. You need to develop some skills, develop some contacts, develop the resources to get here. And it's not just go along at the bottom for 4 years, graduate from university, then take an elevator to your success. It doesn't work that way. Small steps, and get people that are higher to pull you up. What makes you unique? Yeah, what is your competitive advantage is something that makes unique you unique to somebody else. Yes, there's usually 4 or 5 different features that make you unique. So what we talk about is your price competitive, or your first mover advantage, the environment competitive advantage. There's a variety of different things. And Michael Porter is a world famous person that developed a lot of research to identify every organization needs to look at these 5 forces that impact competitive advantage. And if you're not aware of these details, you will have difficulty. That's one of the readings that we will be talking about. And as we go through the class, the week by week, we're talking about internal and external competitive forces. We're going to be talking about this a lot later on, but make sure you know the name, competitive advantage, and Michael Porter. Michael Porter's 5 forces of competitive advantage. And again, just the research is nice. You can get one Harvard story worth $50, but how it applies to you or how it applies to the company you want to work for, that's even more important. Talk about those things. Before talking about Michael Porter, maybe you don't know about him. Almost everything in life is still simple if you look at it deeply. What is this that I'm talking about? The external and environmental analysis, or the internal. How do you analyze that? I think everybody's learned that in middle school, haven't you? Many people say we need to do a SWOT analysis, talk about the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. And so they will make one strength and focus on that, promote that, one weakness and talk about how to fix that, one opportunity and one threat. That is a problem. That's not the way the world works. There's millions of strengths everybody has, millions of weaknesses, millions of opportunities, millions of threats. You should be aware of several of your biggest strengths and how to continue to grow that. And if you have weaknesses, partner. Get a term project with somebody that is better at things that you're weak at. If you are better at researching and the other person's better at talking, that could be helpful and you can get many more points that way. Continuing going forward, a lot of MBAs, they present your SWOT analysis just by listing one of each. And that could be a big problem because that's not the way the world works. So next, think about your strategic vision and mission. A lot of people talk about that, having a good strategic vision and strategic mission. Most of the time, young students aren't that aware of the big picture. So if we can slowly clarify what is our plan, what are the steps to get success, and then we will, the vision will become more clear. And you need to continuously clarify the vision so the other person understands what you're trying to do, where you're trying to go. And then set the objectives. Again, as we have identified those steps, you want to go here, and easily you could go up step by step, or you could try to take an elevator, but that almost never really works, and find who is higher that can pull you up. Don't forget, it's not just pushing yourself up. Other people can pull you up. Every day you should be doing these strategic actions. And that book called 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, they talk about it very clearly. He also has another book called The First Things First. You should be identifying every day there's millions of things or hundreds of things you have to do. You should try to say, I will do all of these other things only after you help me finish these 3 things that will help me get my goals. After my most important things that are not urgent, it's just for today, but you help me finish these, then I will do these other things and help other people. Don't let the distractions of text message, don't let the distractions of friends wanting to go party with you, don't let those distractions slow down you from finishing those 3 things each day that get you higher towards your goals. That's the idea of the implementation of the strategy. The step 1, industry and competitive advantage, is very, very important. You need to always be researching online what is good, reliable information to help you. So every week you find a Scopus Journal article and share that with our class. That is the most reliable, the best benchmarking material you can use. Everything else is less reliable. It could be wrong. Or it could be from a consulting company or a government or university that's only promoting what they want to promote. So that idea, step 1 is to get your competitive analysis, do your research. Sound industry competitive analysis will entail you to use some well-defined concepts, analytical tools to gain insights. The dominant economic features of the industry in which the company operates. That's more of the economic background. The kinds of competitive forces industry members face. Again, that is the 5 forces of competitive advantage as explained in Harvard Business Review by Michael Porter. I will be sharing with you that article in the future. So the market positions that your industry rivals or your competitors have, and the strategic moves rivals might do, or what are the strategic moves your competitors and enemies might do, and how you can manage those. An example, I used to work for Samsung. I still work indirectly with friends there. And when we were working with them, and when we worked with actually a higher tech company called Applied Materials, every month we'd have a very big executive meeting. It was a war room meeting where we would have staff, usually the HR staff and usually the marketing department staff, they would always be interviewing students or workers from competitors. Why? We do want to hire the best, but more specifically, we will take staff from our competitors because during an interview, they can tell us the inside information, the competitive advantage, what they're good at, and we can learn from that. So those are some types of thinking strategies that you could take. So identify in your industry or competitive analysis key factors for future competitive success, like if the other company is doing this, we need to do something to manage it. So same thing. There's thousands, millions of students planning to graduate at the same time you're going to graduate. How are you going to be better than them? Use your class activities. Contact those workers, the managers now. They can come in and talk with you in class. You can do a research project on them in class. Next, the idea of internal analysis. Now we're getting into the SWOT analysis, inside and outside analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And to be a complete, comprehensive internal analysis, you need to assess the success of your present strategy. Its competitively important resources and capabilities, its capacity to take advantage of the market opportunities and overcome the threats, whether its prices and costs are competitive. A lot of people, especially young students, they usually look at what is the lowest price. And almost always they forget that if you're trying to do a business and you're trying to have the lowest price, you forget that some of the world's best companies that had that might be going bankrupt, and they can give away the top quality item almost for free because they're going bankrupt or they're changing. So it's very hard to compete with the lowest price for your competitive advantage. Walmart is one very rare example, but they're not focused on just having the lowest cost. They're also focused on having the best distribution system, and they can get products and services from around the world the fastest, most efficiently, more efficiently than anybody else. So they're, even though they promote the lowest cost, they develop the best strategies for moving things better than others. So those are examples, again, with your internal analysis of the prices and costs being competitive. Think about those things. What about you? Most of us are based in Korea or focused on Korea right now. Everybody needs to do a report. Don't forget that, and when we finish the report, we should edit the report so it looks professional. To get somebody in Korea to edit it, it might be a challenge. Number one, because English isn't that popular. Number two, it's such a rich country. Anybody you hire here, it's going to be very expensive. Where is a country that you could hire somebody to help that has a better competitive advantage than a Korean English speaker? India, Nepal, Kenya, where they speak English all the time, and they're working for maybe $1 a day versus here they're looking for like $10 an hour. Those types of things are just examples of what you could be thinking of. The idea that we are in a class and we'll have 10 to 15 different students, we could basically say, I'm going to share my paper and you share your paper. I will edit you, you edit me, and we do the peer review. That could be free. And at the same time, you are seeing their paper. You're seeing, oh, that's a good idea. I can use that. And you're giving your paper to them. They can learn from yours. So the peer review is a very big part. So those types of thinking styles should help you grow and develop. Every week, you get points if you're able to talk about these things. If you find a journal article and you share that journal article with the class, you can get points. If there's 2 people that have that, we could have the class discuss this in detail in groups, and many, many more benefits could be possible. So we should be aware of those things. There's, again, there's a variety of things that we're talking about with the international strategic management. Overall, you should be writing down these details and plan to grow, realize that things can change over time, but as long as you've developed a little bit, even if things change, Horizon 2 changes, you still are better prepared if you've started growing rather than just waiting until you graduate. So continue to see the horizons can change, but you must be working daily, hourly, minute by minute to try to develop yourself. I talk repeatedly about your 20-year, 10-year long dream goals, long-term dream goals that you as a company or the organization seeks, which draw on your stated mission, vision, etc. Your scope, make sure you know the environment and your capabilities. What's your advantages or capabilities that you have, like having access to students, having access to professors, having access to Scopus very expensive databases. So yes, make sure your strategy for you going forward, always think about those things, not just with the class project, but your goal, your scope, and your capabilities.